After Cookie... I just want to call him Cookie! Hi and welcome back to Rhetorical K-Pop. I'm Sherston.
I'm Aubrey.
And this week we are back with the third and final, currently, part of our BTS Most Beautiful Moments in Life analysis.
This video accompanies a blog post that summarizes our wrap-up, kind of our final thoughts on the plot lines that occur during the music videos.
Our theory is that Jin is dead prior to I Need You, and that Prologue focuses on the boys attempting to memorialize Jin by attending the beach, and V kills himself at the end of Prologue. That means that I Need You is the first stage of grieving for the loss of Jin, and Run is kind of the aftermath of losing both Jin and V. You can find more on our theory of how each member represents part of the grieving process, which you will find we mention. I probably shouldn't bring that up right now, but I'm doing it anyway. In the blog post that she mentioned, she's gonna kick me for this later.
So, we've tabled something for the last two videos, and now we have to talk about it. We kept putting it off because we're like, this is gonna be awkward if we stick it here. It's gonna be awkward if we stick it here. Well, it's gonna be awkward if we stick it anywhere, so now we're just gonna talk about it.
And that thing is why Jin is not in the prologue, and kind of some of the clear indications that he isn't. You've heard us kind of beating around the bush about it, but I guess we'll just finally kind of be like, ja-jong! Here's why not.
There is a specific scene in the prologue where everyone is at a bonfire outside what we assume is, like, Ratmon's house, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like the same teeny house.
Yeah. But Jin is not actually there. And we can see that Jin is not actually there because there are home movies, things that he videoed in the background.
Yeah, it's, again, that space where they're remembering. But he's sitting next to JHope, and he has in his hand a picture of the beach.
And he says, we should go here, shouldn't we?
Which, of course, the guys are like, yeah, sure, let's go. Now, since we know when he's holding a picture he's not actually there, it seems to indicate that the beach trip the boys take is one kind of fulfilling an unresolved wish of Jin's that happened prior to his death. Because V and Jin have very different deaths because of the Easter lily imagery and the white and the kind of purity surrounding Jin's death. It seems like it's one they saw coming, something like terminal illness, instead of the sudden violent death that V undergoes. So it's entirely possible that they would, after his death, do something to try and celebrate it because they saw it was coming, and the beach trip seems to be that memorial to their lost friend. Now that we've talked about Jin and the prologue, we can focus more on I Need You and Run. When they're put in conversation, something really, really cool actually happens. We were super excited when we realized this. You don't even know.
We were sitting there with like 4 notebooks and a whiteboard and writing, and we were so super excited when the dots finally connected.
That it was pretty much magical.
It was.
Okay. Theory. The 5 surviving members of Bangtan are the 5 stages of grief. Yeah. Sorry, we were like super excited about this.
We're gonna blow through that part really fast right here because
we have a blog post that we have written about it in more detail. If you would like to read the blog post, click Nocturne, our beautiful sidekick owl, and he will take you to the blog post.
Where we go into more detail about why we think they are the stages of grief, and specifically why we think they are, which specific stage of grief we think they are.
Yeah, because we didn't just randomly think, oh, they must be the random stages of grief. There's specific imagery associated with each member of the band that seems to indicate a specific stage of grief.
What? Madness!
Specifically, just to give you kind of the quick version in case you don't want to stop the video right this moment.
And go read the blog post, which is Highly recommended.
Highly. First off, you have Rapmon, who is denial.
And Suga is anger.
Jungkook is bargaining.
JHope is depression.
And Jimin is acceptance.
Perpetual ball of sunshine.
He is the perpetual ball of sunshine. He is also the main character or hero of Run. Because he is acceptance, he is going around healing the wounds left by Jin and V's deaths.
You rocked that. So the super important way that we can show that Jimin is acceptance, other than all of the things that happened in I Need You and all of the things mentioned in our blog post, is that Jin is actually the person that pulls Jimin into that bathroom.
Where they do the bathroom party.
Where they have the party. And the party is the healing place.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because the party is where you see them being happy and celebrating. There's always lots of sparkles and booze for some reason. I mean, if you're going to accept things, I guess. So it's always in the party spaces that you see someone having achieved acceptance. Now, they don't necessarily go in order by any means, and we're not covering them in the order they appear in the video. But that's more of just because we want to follow the logistical flow instead of necessarily the chronological flow. So Jimin, as we mentioned, serves as kind of the healing figure who goes around to the different members and actually helps them achieve inner peace.
We start out at the beginning of the music video with Rapmon walking towards a train car and unlocking it and opening the door, and then who but Jimin would drag him in to the party.
And suddenly you see Rapmon finally like laughing and smiling and celebrating, so that kind of stage of denial is put to rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then another time that you see Jimin kind of acting as the little ball of acceptance, you know, going around and magically fixing things, is JHope. We mentioned he is in the hospital after the attempted suicide in I Need You. And it's Jimin who shows up with, you know, the proverbial pillow fight. Not an actual pillow fight, because I don't feel like hospitals would be okay with that. But he brings back some of the memories of joy.
Those are the three resolved plot lines that we have. We're kind of on the fence about one, but we have one for sure that is not a resolved plot line.
The one that's we're not really sure on, because it could go either way, is Suga's line. Because, he is still very angry when we see him in Run, to the point where he, you know, beats up Jungkook. That's not a great life choice. But the reason why we're not sure if he has transitioned into acceptance or not is because there is a moment where you do see him in a party space with Jimin, where he jumps and looks down at Jimin, but it doesn't seem to be the same type of deliberate pulling into the party space that you saw with Jin pulling Jimin in and Jimin getting Rapmon and JHope into the party space as well. So it could be resolved, but it might also still be left open that he is still searching for that resolution.
So there's a chance that it's... I had a point.
Going to be resolved in the next one?
Yes. I had another point, though, that came to me while you were talking. Oh, that's what it was. The reason his is more passive might be because anger is more likely to fizzle into acceptance. So it might be that instead of like exploding through the door or having a pillow fight, he just passively walked into his acceptance because his anger was extinguished by Cookie in the last video in the prologue, right?
Yeah, because Cookie blows out the fire. There we go.
Bam!
That was good. Bargaining blew out the fire. So it's like, we're giving up on anger and we're going to switch to bargaining now.
Yeah. And then his depression was drinking alcohol, and then... Dang! I got this, apparently!
The more you know.
The person that we know for sure does not have a resolved plot is Jungkook. And it is specifically because he carries the rhetorical shift in the music video, wherein he has a fight with Suga, and then he gets beat up, hits the floor in the party space.
But then Suga throws the chair at the mirror, causing it to shatter across the floor. And the camera does a pan back where it shows the party happening, and then it does another pan where the party disappears, leaving the broken open room. And that's where you see the power shift from Jimin into being in Jungkook's hands. So over the course of the series of videos, we went from it being Jin to V to Jimin. Jimin is now giving the power to Jungkook instead.
It also serves as a metaphor for Jungkook actively denying the acceptance that Jimin has offered.
Which is why his is unresolved. Additionally, you see at the end of the music video, before the credits, Jungkook has a moment that mirrors in I Need You. You know, in I Need You, he gets hit by the car. But in this one, he instead stops and looks over his shoulder into the camera and smiles just a little bit. It indicates that there's something still left to be said in his story, especially since they followed it up with Coming in April, Part 3. Or 4, I guess. Well, technically, according to their numbering, it's 3. But it's kind of confusing, because there's 4. After Jungkook looks into the camera, it fades to black. We again see V popping out of the water, and then it goes into the credits. At the end of the credits is a bonus scene where you have Jimin in his magical bathtub burning things again. This time, though, he burns the picture of the beach. And as we talked about, the beach is this innocent space where it's full of happiness and memory for them. However, since V killed himself at the beach, that space is no longer safe to them. It's no longer accessible as a place of happiness for them. So Jimin burns the picture, signifying that that phase is over, that they can't return there anymore for that kind of resolution that they had felt there previously.
It also seems a little bit like it's his acceptance of V's death, in addition to him already having accepted Jin's death.
Yep, meaning he is ready to move on and face whatever awaits us in the next arc that BTS is going to give us come April.
Which we postulate will probably star Jungkook.
Seriously, we're pretty sure it is going to be Jungkook. But we are left with one final, pressing, terrible question. What on earth does it mean?
Let's talk about the takeaway we get from this music video, then. The moral of the story, as it were, is that the most beautiful, most precious moments in life are the ones that are fleeting and will leave us, and so it is important to cherish them.
BTS, at least currently in their career, focuses on how youth is something that is this brief moment that happens, and you need to live it to the fullest and cherish it. Sometimes in this particular video arc, it embodies that in the people that you sometimes lose, which, I mean, that is part of growing up. You do lose some people who were very dear to you and represent that part of your life. So Jin and V are the embodiment of that fleeting youth, and to cherish them and to have them with you as you continue to grow up.
And that is it for our
BTS saga.
For now, anyway.
We'll be back in April, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
May, probably, actually. Because it comes out April 29th. We would love to hear what you think of the videos, what you think they mean. Do you have different theories? Do you agree with us? You know, other evidence that you see? Feel free to comment below.
We would love to hear from you guys. We like to engage in conversation as much as possible because we are just as curious about what other people think as people are about what we think.
And plus, we really like commenting.
We do.
Really.
It's her life. If you like what you hear, you should subscribe.
In fact,
you can click on the owl.
You should click the owl. And if you also really enjoyed our video, you should share it with your friends, Twitter, Tumblr, all of the things.
Give it a like.
We like likes. And we look forward to seeing you with whatever challenge we face next. If you have a specific video or series of videos, if it happens to roll that way, that you'd like us to cover, please feel free to post a request, and we will get to them as soon as we can.
Well, we'll see you guys next time.
On the other side of winter, because since it is holidays, I'll be on the other side of the country from her, so we can't film anything.
Bye.
Have a good holiday season.